John thinks his trousers has reduced the width of his bottom. Okay, good morning. This week we are on official Fowler and Gilbert business, and we are also on some Trent business as well. But before we start, I want to say, please hit subscribe, ring the bell, and look at the state of this guy.
That's your special. Don't now, stop now. Cut me some slack now. It's not all of it. Tim, can I just say, Tim said the same thing. He said, you think you go in the airport? Go in the airport, yeah.
What is that? I can't understand it. If you're not wearing work trousers, it's supposed to be boot cut. Nobody wears skinny jeans, John. So, the reason we are on official Trent business as well is because we have gone to LAMMA Show this week, and it is the first official trade show that Trent has ever done. Now, we've had a little stand over at the market when we've had Trent or Fowler and Gilbert over at the market as a presence, but it is the first official trade show that Trent has ever done. So that's a big one for us, really. We didn't know how it was going to pan out. We chose LAMMA to be the launch of the trade shows for Trent, and I'm glad we did, because it has been absolutely fantastic. So, as you know, Trent's product range is very varied, but one of the more recent things that we've added, which we spoke about numerous times, is the fibre cement and the UPVC. That was going to be a great place for us at LAMMA, being the biggest agricultural show of the year, to launch our effectively big stock that we keep of natural grey fibre cement, and we can obviously start pushing that out there now to the marketplace. Glad we did. We have picked up a mountain of inquiries actually, but one in which was particularly nice because it was a great big order that they placed on the day because they were desperate for it. They were presently using fibre cement from another company. They weren't very happy with the product and the service that they were receiving, and basically they were desperate for this one particular job, which we had the stock and we've therefore been able to accommodate. So tomorrow, this is the first of 2 loads that's being delivered to a site of theirs to help them out, and hopefully that'll be the start of a very nice long-lasting relationship, because one thing that we pride ourselves on is not just the quality of the material but the service that Trent are providing. So for us, that was a fantastic start, because that was in the first hour of day 1 of the LAMMA Show. The only thing that, like I say, really we struggled with, I think this guy, as in John, unfortunately he had Googled and there was the Young Voice competition on at the NEC at the same time. So John had Googled it, thought that's what we were going to, and dressed completely inappropriately for an agricultural show. He'd got his box fresh sneakers on and his ridiculously skinny tight jeans, and he just looked an absolute moron. So, like I say, LAMMA Show was fantastic for both companies, and really glad we went. We've already rebooked both stands for next year, and now on to Fowler and Gilbert business. Now, we should have gone to Boland Tractors today to finish off the recording there, so I could have done the talking about the Biodisk treatment tank that we've installed. Luckily for me, Clayton had got most of the footage, so I'm going to be able to now talk over the top of Clayton's footage because of this Trent order and the bits and bobs that we've got going on, and because we had such a busy show, we've not got a chance today to go back over to finish that recording. So, on to Boland Tractors. This is the Kingspan Klargester Bio-Disk, and what it is, it's a big tank, and we have to dig a great big hole in the ground. We put this in. The inlet and the outlet pipes are to suit the existing drainage and the proposed new, as in the dirty water, the poo pipe. So that gets piped into this inlet here, and then from that it goes through a series of processes through the tank. So basically from this inlet then in comes all the poo and all the material, the liquor basically comes into the first stage of the treatment tank, and in that first stage it starts to get treated. Then when it's fed through into the second zone, that's where the second element of the treatment is done, and then ultimately the liquid then goes out of zone 2 into the final zone, and from there it comes out of the outlet pipe. Now, one of the processes when it goes through, which varies between, for argument's sake, a Klargester or a different type of treatment tank, is this is called a Biodisk one. So there are a series, or 2 banks, I think, in this particular one, of discs that are rotating, and what that is doing, it's like a, basically it's like a ninja going with all the poo. And it's chopping all that poo up and separating the liquids out, and then the sediment will then settle. So the sediment stays in one part that then can be cleaned out in the future, and ultimately the liquid then goes into the second part, which is the treatment part, and then into the third part, and finally out. Now when it comes out, supposedly you are able to drink this. Put me a pint glass here, Clayton, right now. So supposedly I should be able to drink this. I'm going to opt not to, because I've seen the guys that work in the workshop at Boland Tractors, and I don't think that's going to be possible to drink. I don't fancy it, but ultimately you're supposed to be able to. And that is really the process of how that Biodisk works. Now when we come to install that, what we have to do is there's a set process when we come to install it, because ultimately it is a fiberglass tank. So first and foremost, we dig a ginormous great big hole. In the bottom of that hole we put some gravel in, or a bit of stone gravel, and then we put some dry mix on to put a bed in. We then sit that tank in, and we have to fill the dry mix concrete around the outside, because it has to be fully encased in concrete to support the fiberglass tank, because that's where the strength comes from. And at the same time as we're filling it up on the outside, we also have to have water put in to the inside. Now the reason for that is, if you filled up all the way around the outside with concrete, it's almost like trying to hold a balloon in a bucket of water. Because there's air in the tank, it's basically trying to just float its way up all the time. So once we've gone to the effort of making sure that all the inlet, the outlet levels are to suit the existing or proposed new drainage, and everything's at the right level, we cannot allow it to move out. So what we've done, customer has provided a vacuum tanker which has been full of clean water, and that clean water has then been pumped into the tank at the same time as we have put that concrete around the outside. After that, basically that then is left to go off, and we then landscape back around the outside, because the top part of the tank effectively has to sit sort of above the ground, so that A, you know where it is, and B, you can obviously get in to do all the cleaning out when you come to take the actual sediment out at the set points of the year. So that is it on the Klargester and how we installed it and what it does. Like I say, there are different types. I've got a completely different type at the farm, which is basically a series of bars in the bottom with holes in, and there's a compressor that pumps air through, and it constantly is bubbling, and the bubbling air bubbles are breaking down all of the poo that has gone in there. So there are lots of different types, but what we've had spec'd and installed at Boland has been this Biodisk from Kingspan. So that's what we've put in. For the rest of the job now, we've got to concentrate on getting the rest of the building up. We couldn't put the rest of the steelwork up until we had carried that tank in and dropped it in, because we needed the space to be able to get everything in and out of that corner of the site. But now that's in, we can get the rest of the steel work up and carry on with the building itself. So that's it from this week. I know you're not necessarily going to like what you have seen, and there will have been some distressing scenes throughout the course of this video, and there will be in the montage as well. We're not going to do another room of the house. We're going to do a montage of the bits and bobs going on at Boland Tractors. We're going to do the Lama for Trent and Fowler and Gilbert, and some obscene footage of John not realising that you should wear boots and boot-cut trousers or jeans to a show instead of skinny jeggings and fresh box trainers. Box fresh trainers rather. Montage. Boom.